Be recorded.
I'm calling the April 22nd, 2024 Select Board meeting to order. This meeting, this open meeting of the Town of Auburn Select Board is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, which suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed to participate remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, dial 1-408-650-3123, and the access code is 235-235-861. Or the public can join via computer at globalgotomeeting.com/join/235-235-861. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Television. Is anyone in the audience recording? Seeing none. We do have a member, but I do not see him up, who is going to participate remotely. So at this time, we'll rise and salute the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, relative to the member participating remotely, I've been told that he wouldn't be available till 7 o'clock.
Okay. We do not have any public comments. We do have a presentation, and I do see members of RH White here. So we'll proceed to the presentation of the proclamation celebrating their being in business for 100 years as of last year. So you're up to 101 now. So if you would like to join us at the table, or however you want to do it, we'll read this, and it's my understanding we want pictures.
Yes, I think that
Okay.
has been requested, yes.
Okay. So the proclamation reads, whereas the Auburn Select Board wishes to recognize and acknowledge businesses in the town of Auburn that improve the quality of life for its citizens, and whereas RH White, Inc., a family-owned and operated business founded in 1923 to meet the region's needs for a company to install water and sewer piping, has been located in the town of Auburn for 100 years, and whereas RH White, Inc. has always been a good corporate citizen and generous in its support of the community through donations and community projects throughout the years, and whereas RH White's civic dedication and outstanding service should serve as examples and emulated by all, and now, therefore, we, the Select Board, congratulate RH White, Inc. in celebration of its centennial year in business and acknowledge its many contributions to the Auburn community. Signed by Sarah Ruffley, Chair, Steve Chambers, Todd Crane, Daniel Copter, and Ann Kavanaugh, members. All right.
Congratulations.
So where are we doing the pictures, Mr. Manager?
We can just do it right in front here.
All right.
Yep.
Who is getting the actual sign of the official proclamation?
1920. Congratulations.
I don't think he's been here that.
That's a feat.
He probably feels he's been here that long.
Well, my grandfather Ralph would be extremely pleased. We lasted this long, and your father was equally as pleased. Both of them were very active in the town of Auburn for many years. Ralph, actually, I think started in the fire department, the volunteer fire department, chief for 42 years, amongst other things. And my dad is probably known for getting the rocket mounted downtown. So we've had a great partnership all these years. Thank you. Very appreciate it.
and it'll be part of our newsletter in the next
Something, huh? 100 years.
I think
Good
any
for-
business that can last,
Yeah,
but they've been thriving and still stay.
and they're all,
Correct, I think the newest.
yeah, okay.
Moving right along, we have communications, planning board letters. On public hearings held on Auburn Town Meeting warrant, Articles 20, 21, 22, that will be considered at the May 7th town meeting. Board members have communication from Dr. Menard of the Planning Office, letting us know what the committee chose to do. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I noticed we deferred to the petitioner on those. Do we have a plan to revisit that prior to town meeting and make another recommendation? Perhaps a recommend or not recommend?
So I'm in favor of keeping it as is, but we'll leave it up to
Okay.
the board members. I think, and again, I hate to say historically we've done it, but I feel more comfortable leaving it to them because of the ins and outs of all these, and I know there'll be further discussion through the town meeting.
You know, when I was on the Finance Committee, we always deferred to the petitioner on zoning articles because there wasn't a financial impact to the town. But, okay, I'm just curious. We wouldn't want to do anything tonight anyway, until we have a full board here. Thank you.
Under general items, we have the May 7th, 2024 annual town meeting warrant Articles 13 and 14. I believe Mr. Corain had questions on the dollar amounts for these two articles. We now have those. Does the board want to take action? Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we recommend Article 13, which is put forth by the school committee, and which requests that, maybe I'll read it. To see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $26,382.15, which is the interest earned by the Auburn High School Gymnasium Health and Recreational Trust Fund to offset school department costs at Auburn High School in support of community health and recreational activities at Auburn High School Gymnasium and related facilities and equipment, or act on anything relative thereto.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? It is a vote. On Article 14, do we wish to take any action on that?
Yes. Mr. Chair, I vote that we, I propose that we vote to recommend Article 14. Can I just ask Mr. Kazanovich a question? Now, this amount in here on the McKinney-Vento receipts, are those, is that to pay the town back for money that was already spent last year? How does that work?
So it's my understanding that it's an actual cost for the prior fiscal year
Yeah,
for the
okay.
transportation of homeless students.
Okay, great. So this is a recurring article. So I vote that we recommend Article 14.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion, there's a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is a vote. All right, moving right along. We dispensed with the proclamations earlier. There are no new requests. And we have the naming subcommittee. We have a recommendation from the subcommittee on certain locations at the Auburn Public Library. Do any board members have questions?
So I don't have questions. I was on this committee. I know in your packet, you guys have been presented with a summary of the recommendations put forth by the naming subcommittee. And I would suggest that we look to get this on for the next meeting to decide on a name. Again, this is our recommendation. The board is free to act in any way they see fit, but I think through this, you've read that the recommendation would be to name the addition for the trustees based on community input, and look at other opportunities for naming for the Pappas family as well. For, I think the suggestion was for the children's room. And again, with their commitment and donations over the years, I think that would be fitting. So the board wanted to make sure we didn't, or the subcommittee wanted to make sure that that was not lost, as well as some of the other names that came forth from the community outreach, and recommend that we provide the names in the appropriate boards for future naming or something we can do with it.
I will not be here at the next meeting, but that does not mean the board cannot move forward if they would like. Do you want this on the next, so we're meeting on the 5th Monday, so we have a meeting next week.
No, I'd look for the full board in the May meeting.
Okay. So, Mr. Kazanovich, can we hold this over until the first?
Yes,
meeting in May?
yes, absolutely.
All right, moving right along, we have town manager items. There is a request for the board to apply for and accept a grant. Mr. Kazanovich.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I was notified by Joe Chanette and Kathy Stone of a grant opportunity to apply for up to $5,000 from MEMA CCP funds that would provide some equipment for our CERT team. So I think they have some items in mind. Certainly, we just got some new CERT members who need to be equipped with certain apparel to conduct their duties and responsibilities, as well as some other equipment needs. But they're going to hold off until the board votes to authorize them to apply for the grant and expend the funds if approved. So my plan is to contact those two individuals once the board decides to take action on this item.
Are there any questions from board members?
No matching funds, just a grant.
No matching funds, correct.
So are we looking for a motion to recommend it or vote
Vote to
yes?
authorize to apply for and accept and expend if awarded.
Okay. I make a motion that we authorize the town to seek and, if awarded, spend the grant from this Citizen Corp program.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. All right, we're on to member items. I note that Mr. Crane has not been able to join us. Can I have a motion to take the minutes out of order? Item 12.
12. Oh, so moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We're on the minutes. Are there any corrections to March 25th, 2024? Seeing none, we'll accept them as submitted with our thanks. All right, we have exceeded our agenda. I do see a member in the audience. Does he want to address the board in any way? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I know Mr. Crane is not here, but I had a discussion relative to his item
Okay.
that I can probably share with you. After the board took a vote to recognize the canine officer and his dog, Beezer, I did some outreach to the police department to let them know that the board wanted to recognize them for the work they have done. Chief indicated to me that it went beyond the canine officer and Beezer. Everyone on the staff was very instrumental in locating this child and would like them to get some recognition as well. At that point, I reached out to Selectman Mr. Corain, and he had no objections. He'd like to see each and every one of them recognized. I believe the names have been provided to you tonight. We just wanted authorization from the entire board to recognize these individuals next Monday at a scheduled recognition event.
All right. questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, is there a motion to issue a proclamation to the dispatch staff patrol, and I don't know what DB stands for, but the folks listed in the email from Mr. Crane dated April 9th, 2024.
So moved.
Mr. Chairman, before you take a vote, I just wanted to, there won't be individual proclamations. They're going to get a letter of recognition or appreciation, each one of them, with just a standard recognition language that can be given to them and can be put in their individual P files.
Does that require us to revisit the proclamation for the original?
I would word it that the town would issue letters of appreciation to each individuals that were submitted.
Okay.
Recognition of appreciation.
I'll make a recommendation that we, sorry, I just lost that. Letters of appreciation, is that, for the individuals listed on the email from April 9th, 2024.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, it is a vote. All right, we also have established a charge for the board subcommittee, which is Mr. Crane, and I know he is not here. Would the board be willing to take a recess for 10 minutes? Let's see if you can, I know 7 o'clock, it's right around 7, so we have no other business unless town administration has something to share.
I have no other business, Mr. Chairman.
Should we wait a week? Oh, you're not here next week, right?
No, I'm not here next week.
I'm okay with a 10-minute recess.
Can someone make that motion then?
I'll make a motion that we take a recess until, do we say 7:05?
Sure, if you'd like.
Until 7:05?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it is a vote. We are back in session, and we just got an update on our member who is tied up. We're going to ask for a motion for a 5-minute recess, and we will come back to discuss wage theft. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, it is a vote. We are in recess until 7:10. We're going to call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen back to order. It's my understanding Mr. Crane has joined us via the World Wide Web. Mr. Crane, can you just mention or affirm that you are on?
Was on twice.
Yeah.
There we go.
We see you, but you can't hear us, Todd?
I can hear you now. Yep.
So can you just confirm for the record that you are the usual?
Yes, I am present.
That you are present, and from this point forward, every vote will be by roll call vote if we should take a vote. But anyways, there's your item, Mr. Crane, so I'm going to say, take it away.
I think you need,
Okay, what item are we on?
We already dealt with the first one. Ed filled us in on your feedback, so we're on the wage theft item.
Oh, okay. Did we amend the vote, can I just ask, for the recognition?
Yes.
Okay, great, perfect. So just following up on last meeting, we had voted to create the wage theft bylaw subcommittee. However, we had delayed establishing a charge until this meeting to allow members to ponder exactly what the charge was going to be. I had sent in an email. One of the discussions points was that we did not want it to be too broad. We did not want to open it up to private contracts that were not dealing with the town. So I had sent a draft charge that was included in the board packet. And I did this to try to narrowly define what the job of this subcommittee was, to avoid scope creep or attempts to enlarge the intent. So my proposed charge was the subcommittee shall review and revise the draft language, hold at least one public hearing, and present a final wage theft bylaw for the select board to forward to fall special town meeting for consideration, as well as a summary of the expected level of effort required by town staff to oversee the implementation of the draft bylaw. Said scope of the draft bylaw shall only include oversight of contracts issued by the Town of Auburn departments and agencies, or on behalf of the Town of Auburn departments and agencies. So again, I was trying to thread that needle to keep it a very tight scope, a tight timeline, but to ensure that there was public process and due process. If we think that we want to give them more time, we can always change the fall special town meeting to May's town meeting of next year. But I just want to make sure that, this issue has been kicking around, for lack of a better word, since 2022. And I think we all agree that we want to bring it to fruition and then put it to town meeting and allow them to make the final decision per their authority in the charter.
Are there board member comments or questions?
So are we looking for a motion tonight to do this? To create a subcommittee?
So we already
vote
created the
on
subcommittee.
Oh, okay.
We did do that. This is simply on the charge. My understanding is a little different from Mr. Crane's. We voted to form a subcommittee, not necessarily to draft a bylaw, because council gave us 3 options to pursue. And it may be easier and more timely to use all the tools and consider which is the best way to address this. Again, vendor management and contract management fall with the town manager, not with the Board of Selectmen. So, I don't want us to get, or when we form this committee, my vote will be that we're forming this subcommittee to look at ways to address wage theft in public contracts, however broadly the board wants to define that. That's my 2 cents, but.
no, I think I kind of agree on that. I think the draft bylaw that was presented to us as well has a lot of clerical oversight and such, and I would hate for a bylaw to force certain issues. I know technology changes and the oversight can certainly change. And then, again, a bylaw would be a lot more harder to change in the future. So I just want to make sure that we're looking at all options to address that root cause without increasing costs. I know it was previously outlined, and I think, Mr. Crane, in your draft there, it does say, like, to look at the costs and oversight. So I appreciate that aspect, but I don't know if it needs to be a bylaw necessarily, or a subcommittee for the bylaw. I would like to look at the other options and find out which one's more practical to address it, as well as including people from all sides of the issue, including people that are in the contract side, the contractor side, the union side or subcontractor, union representation, I guess is what I would say, as well as those that are non-union and how they feel about that as well, looking at multiple. I don't have anything as concise as Mr. Corain at this time. I just know that I would like to hone that in and allow them to get to a point, but I think Mr. Carpenter said there might be other opportunities to address those concerns without necessarily a bylaw aspect of that, or increasing the amount of oversight on the contract side. So again, I'm not saying it's going to be null and void, but I believe when we last spoke, they said there was no increased cost. I'd like to see that from all sides and show that there's no increased cost.
So I'm more than happy to, again, I was trying to keep this very, because the concern was that this could scope creep to other areas. So if we want to back off of the bylaw wording in my my scope or my charge, that's fine. We can give them more leeway to consider bylaw or other options. I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that we one, define it as contracts that are issued by the town, that we make it very clear that they cannot consider contracts issued in the town but not by the town. I think we all had agreed on that point. And the other was, of course, the concern of, does this add potential cost or staff time to regulate or enforce or oversee? And what is that? So I want to make sure that those two things are included in the eventual charge.
I would agree with Todd, especially on the second part. I mean, we really need to find out what kind of oversight would be required and what its impact would be on our town employees, and if they have time to do this work.
I think that was what the chair mentioned, and I think we all share that with the budget message of the town manager and what we're looking at for the town budget. We do have to, as we're asking people to sacrifice, we can't be unmindful of creating additional responsibilities. So I'm open to a motion. I did just do a short one myself. I don't know if that's better or worse. I'm not wedded to either. I'm happy to support one or the other, provided that we make a change to not specify it's a bylaw. And I would also say that, I would like us to not restrict open public hearings to just one. I think we should just say that you will hold public hearings and present a recommendation.
Just for clarification, I was just going to say, just to clarify, my wording was at least one, to ensure that they held at least one, but they can certainly hold more than that.
Yeah,
But I want it clear that they have to hold at least one.
I would just say hold public hearings, that they must hold public hearings, that the committee must hold public hearings. But it's entirely up to the board how close or narrow they want to do it.
So I guess that just sparks something in my head. I don't know if it's relative to voting on that, but how will the members of the subcommittee be picked? Will we be having further discussions on who is on the subcommittee?
Yes, so we do have an election coming up, and so my recommendation to the board and my wish for the board is, there are 3 people running for 2 seats, and I certainly don't want to predetermine. I know Ms. Ruffley has expressed an interest. I don't know of other members. Certainly, I'm not averse to helping out either. I would say that we should wait until after the election to name, because there could be a new member who may also have an interest in serving on the committee.
Okay. I just wanted to understand that part as well, because I think what you're proposing in your email is pretty open, like it's kind of, it allows a lot of flexibility in there. I feel like, I don't know, I'm conflicted because it's open. I want them to be able to make that charge, but again, I think if we added something to your recommendation about the Town of Auburn projects, or I'm trying to think where Mr. Crane put it in his, but essentially, like, put the scope and oversight of contracts issued by the Town of Auburn or on behalf of the Town of Auburn's department and agencies. I think if that was added to what you had submitted, I think that would work well from my standpoint. I don't know.
Okay. And that is open to the board, too, if people want to do that. I like many of things that Mr. Crane called out, like a summary of the expected level of effort required by the town staff. I think that should go into the charge.
Perhaps we can take Mr. Crane's and just take out anything where it says bylaws or something like that, and just use that one. And just say it, because we want to add in a couple of things to yours, it might just be better.
So let's piece it out then. The subcommittee shall provide a recommendation to the select board, hold at least one public hearing and present a recommendation for the select board regarding wage theft and the expected level of effort required by town staff to oversee the implementation of the draft bylaw, said scope of the bylaw of the, not bylaw, sorry, required by the town staff to oversee the implementation of the recommendation. Said scope of the recommendation shall only include oversight of contracts issued by the Town of Auburn departments and agencies or on behalf of the Town of Auburn departments and agencies. Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. There is a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none.
If I may, Mr. Chair, just a point of clarification. Mr. Kareem, when you reference contracts, are you referring to public construction contracts, all contracts? What's the definition of a contract? Because a PO could be considered a contract.
So I think that's where we were not sure. We wanted to make sure that it was only within contracts issued by the Town of Auburn. And that's sort of where we left it. We weren't sure if we wanted to limit it to just construction contracts or if we wanted to include other contracts that may be issued for a smaller scale. You're hiring carpenters for this work, but it might not be a new building. So I think that's why, I wanted to leave the leeway a little bit open for them to define what level of contract. But because I just don't, without actually looking at all the levels of contracts that Auburn issues, I can't say what that is for now. So that's why this subcommittee should have to parse that out. But I wanted to make sure that they were just looking at Town of Auburn contracts and nothing else.
You may want to look at contracts of a certain size, dollar amount. That's usually what, I mean, if it's $1,000, I don't think you're going to want to really get too deep into it. But I'll leave that up to the subcommittee. Sharon, do you have the revised wording?
I didn't follow what you were saying. You were saying some things.
Okay, so let's try it again. No promises.
Is it going to be televised? I mean, can you?
Have to suffer
All right.
through watching.
So-
I'll watch it anyways, but
Well, I want to just address, like, as part of that charge, because if we're talking of one-time purchase orders or reoccurring purchase orders, the level of effort is probably going to be a lot greater. So I'm in favor of limiting the scope, and I'm not saying it has to be on public construction, but I feel like, again, I don't know what that dollar value should be either, but I would hate for us to limit the ability of the chief procurement officer to purchase normal things and go about the daily.
Well, I mean,
Board
I
could
think,
certainly-
I think that's the thing. So this is not this subcommittee does not have the authority to make any of these rules. They're going to come back and they're going to say, here's what our best idea is based on everything that we heard at these public meetings and public hearings. And, with this recommendation, here's the level of effort. And then the select board, and depending on how they, the mechanism that they select and recommend, then the select board or town meeting or whatever other body gets to say thank you and we appreciate it and throw it all out. Thank you, we like pieces of it that we're going to implement, or thank you, we love every part of it and we're going to implement it. But we don't know, I don't want to do the work of the subcommittee before the subcommittee starts, where we start saying, this type of contract, but not that type of contract, this type of contract at this level, but not this one, because we don't know what that is sitting here today. And we would have to do, meetings upon meetings with the town manager and the chief procurement officer, which I believe is the town manager for the town side and the school side, to parse all that out before the subcommittee even meets. So I'd rather have the subcommittee do that work. I don't think we have the time or effort to dedicate at our meetings to do that work. That's why we're creating the subcommittee.
So are we ready for a vote? So Sharon, can we rely on you to send us a copy after you've lived through the exciting replay of our meeting? Thank you, Sharon, for doing that. All right, there's a motion, there's a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You got to
Do
roll.
roll call.
You have to do a roll call.
Forgot, sorry. We're going to start with Mr. Corain. Roll call vote. Mr. Corain.
Yes.
Mrs. Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Mr. Chambers.
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter is a yes. All right, we have no more business, Mr. Corain, but if you would like to stay on and participate in the motion to adjourn, you are, of course, welcome.
I will stay on for that. Exciting
Make a
work.
motion to adjourn?
There's a
Second.
motion, there's a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, by roll call vote, Mr. Corain.
Yes.
Mrs. Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Mr. Chambers.
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter votes yes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.